One thing, I'm just going to give you a quick look at an alternative type of investment, something that we deal with at Charles David Casson. And basically, you know, we know that landlords are in a bit of pain at the moment. We've got these legislation changes, we've got these tax changes, but there are solutions to it and there are ways around it. And really what we need to do is look at maximising your income for any investment you're making. I think an important point John made there was that really get some advice before you're buying properties. I often get landlords come to me and say, I've just bought this, what can I do with it? And you know, that's not the time I'd like to be having the conversation. We will find a solution. We've got pretty much a solution for any problem. But you know, we'd rather, if you're going to look at investing in properties, come and have a chat with us. It's free advice. You know, we love talking about properties. We'd happily have a chat with you, put a property you're looking at across my desk, and I'd love to give you an opinion on it. So I want to talk about, just quickly, something called a house of multiple occupation, an HMO. Now, there's a few people in the room that I know actually own these types of properties already. Some of you may or may not have heard of them. Essentially, it's a shared house. The official definition is a property that's rented to 3 or more people, and they're not from one household, so i.e. they're not a family. So you could have 3 people sharing a house. As long as they're not from one household, that makes the property an HMO. And the other thing is that they share some common facilities, so kitchens and bathrooms. These properties are actually licensable, mandatory licensable, if there's 5 or more tenants and it's over 3 or more stories. So that's the important part. 5 or more tenants and it's over 3 or more stories, that's where you need a licence. You can have an HMO that doesn't need a licence, and you can have up to 6 tenants before you need to then start looking at getting planning permission or looking at licensing. So who recognises this chap here? This is Rigsby from a programme called Rising Damp, for those of you who don't know, which basically was an HMO, not a very nice place to live. We're not talking about this sort of property. We are talking more. We're housing professionals. We don't deal with student lets. We don't deal with benefits tenants and DSS. We're only talking about working professional tenants. So these are just two of the HMOs that we actually manage. We deal with a lot more than this, but these are 2 that we physically manage on behalf of the landlord. This one is a licensable HMO because it is over 3 stories. It's 6 bedrooms over 3 stories. And this one is a 6-bedroom house, but it's only over 2 stories, so that one doesn't need a licence. So just quickly to show you kind of how this works and how people are achieving higher yields than a standard buy-to-let. So this originally was a 4-bedroom townhouse. I don't know that you're going to be able to, excuse me, I don't know that you can see this floor plan very well because I couldn't expand it too much. But essentially on the ground floor we've got a small lounge. This room's been turned into a bedroom, got a kitchen and a utility. On the first floor we've got an ensuite bedroom. This would have been the actual lounge diner for the property originally. That's been turned into a rather large double bedroom. Then on the 3rd floor we've got 3 further bedrooms and a bathroom there as well. One more of these bedrooms is an ensuite. So our client on this particular property purchased this property for $400,000. He actually just bought this property as it was, so he didn't have to do any work to it. He just bought it. There was just the work to bring it up to the licensable standards, but we didn't have to do any refurbishment, etc. There is a much better way to buy these properties, and actually we need to be looking for ones that do require some work to them, or an extension to make it into that kind of thing, because that's the real way to add value. But just to give you a kind of a rough idea of how this works, so there's 6 lettable rooms there. In this particular property we've got 2 en-suites, 1 large double bedroom, which was the old lounge diner, 1 kind of like standard double, and what I'd call 2 small double bedrooms. Now if we were to let that property as a single let, just let it out to a family, I think we'd be achieving somewhere around the £1,600, £1,700 a month mark in today's market. We're actually achieving, by letting out those 6 bedrooms, we're actually achieving £3,270. So we're doubling the income, or more than doubling the income for that property, which is giving our client a 9.81% gross yield. Now I think we're struggling really to achieve on single lets, even 5% nowadays, certainly in the Chelmsford market. So you can see the yields are much better on an HMO, and that's why we've kind of got into that market and really enjoyed dealing with them as well. Interestingly, he also actually remortgaged that property recently for over 500,000. So, as well as the increased cash flow that he's getting from the property, he's also had that capital value gain as well. As I say, there are other ways to buy these properties. That wasn't the best investment. It's a great investment, as you can see by the figures, but there are ways to actually buy them, do some work to them, add value, and actually create an even higher yield than that one. So we've gone through these figures, but if you just, if you look, the income of 3,270, I've put a pretty high mortgage figure in there of £1,500 a month as a repayment mortgage. Obviously, when we're renting these out, it's all bills included, so the tenant pays the rent, it actually includes the bills. So I've allowed £500 for the bills for the property, and he's netting £1,270 a month, whereas if we'd let it as a single let on £1,700 a month with the same mortgage repayment, of course the amount he would actually be profiting it on a monthly basis would have been a lot less. So just something for people to start kind of thinking about. If you are looking to invest in property, don't get me wrong, there are still single let investments that are great investments, but we need to look at the property before you buy it and see how we can maximise the value of it. And certainly looking at HMOs is a great way to kind of increase income. But this is just a couple of pictures just to give you, just to prove we're not dealing with the Rigsby style rising damps. You see they're actually really high quality accommodation. I think in that particular room, that's one of the en-suites, we've got a teacher from the Anglo-European School. We've got in that room a lawyer from the Chelmsford County Court. So we're talking about quite high-end professionals. We just don't deal with any other market than working professional tenants. And the other thing, just to make you aware that we do, is we provide a guaranteed rent service, and we can do this on single lets and on HMOs as well. So we're happy for people who are looking to invest in property. If maybe you've got some money you want to invest, but you don't have the time or you don't want the hassle of dealing with these kind of properties or single lets in general, we provide a guaranteed rent service where we'll take all the risk out, all the hassle out, and we'll agree a fixed monthly fee where we'll essentially lease the property from the landlord and pay a fixed monthly amount, and then it's our risk as to whether the property is empty or not. It's not for everybody, and we don't actually try and plug this service and push everybody into it, because it's only right for certain people, and we want to find the right solution for all our clients. So we're not trying to sell you a service that's not right for you. You might be happy to take some of the risk and manage that risk yourself. That's fine. We'll help you in other ways. But there are clients who like this service because, as I say, we just literally take all the risk out of it, and the risk's on our head. The other thing, just importantly to mention, is going back to, we only house working professional tenants. You could go to Chelmsford Council and they would lease a property off you, but the quality of the tenant they're going to put in there is not going to be anywhere near the quality of tenant that we're going to be dealing with, because they're obviously getting them from a completely different source to the professional tenants that we're taking on board. Just to give you a quick case study, this is a property. It's not the best looking property in the world, but it is clean, tidy inside. Could do with a bit of a tart up on the outside, admittedly. We took this property on from a landlord in Chelmsford. This has been on the market for months with two very large estate agents within Chelmsford, actually. They're asking £1,600 a month for it and just couldn't rent it out. Nobody was taking it, and I actually got in touch with this landlord because he was advertising it privately, even though he was on with two big named agents, because they obviously just weren't sort of coming up with the results for him. So we had a look at the property, discussed the needs of the landlord, and found a way that actually we could guarantee them over the rent they were asking on the market. They're not paying any management fees, so they're getting what they want. They're actually achieving more than they would as a single let. We're running that as an HMO for them, and basically every month they get their money guaranteed. As I say, there's no hassle for them, no risk. We deal with the tenants. It's our risk if a room's empty. the risk is on us and not them. So it is a service that we provide, and just something we wanted to mention tonight. And if anybody is interested in that, then again, come and have a chat with us. We are able to help you invest in HMOs. We've got people that we work with who can actually source these properties, do the work, do the refurbishments, so we can provide a completely packaged service to people. So yeah, something to kind of have a think about, and if it's of any kind of interest, then give us a shout. So that's it from me really on that side. I just wanted to say thank you very much for everybody for coming along tonight. This is the first event of this type that we've held, so I hope it's been useful. I hope we've kind of delivered some value to you tonight. And yeah, if there's anything we can improve on, we are hoping to hold these events periodically. We're going to send out a feedback form to you all. So if there's anything you think actually we'd like that added next time, or there's anything you didn't like, please do let us know. We're pretty thick-skinned, so don't be afraid to say what you think. I just also quickly just wanted to thank all my staff for coming down tonight, and the Pocknells team. Some of my staff are actually on their days off, so just really thank you very much for coming along and helping us out tonight. I think it's been a great event, a great turnout. So I hope you've all enjoyed it, and if we can give you any more advice, then just give us a shout. All right, thank you very much.